Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing humans in Modern once again, and this time we are running up against Tron. I played a lot of Tron, against a lot of Tron, when I was testing out with this deck. I didn't run into any Phoenix or Dredge, despite playing about 30 matches with the deck. So I haven't chosen not to have any Phoenix or Dredge matchups. I just didn't run into any. I did run into lots of Tron, though, which is kind of an interesting matchup. I think I played 5 matches against Tron, and it was 3-2 in favour of Tron. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting matchup. I would say it isn't generally favourable, but it can work out in your favour. So I've got a few Tron matchups. I've decided to choose this one because it's probably the most entertaining one, but I might record another one as well. I suppose we'll see if how the other videos turn out and if I have the time, but yeah. So this our opening hand, I don't love it, to be honest. I'm not sure. This could be a mulligan, to be honest. I mean, it's not bad in that we've got Vile, but then we've got Phantasmal Image, which can't copy anything, and 2 3-drops. So, yeah, we do mulligan that away. This hand looks a little bit better. We've got a couple of Hierarchs, finally a Meddling Mage. So, yeah, that's not bad. Keep that. Freebooter on top. We want to bottom that. I'm not sure that's exactly where we want to be. I mean, I suppose the alternative is that we actually can then see our opponent's hand and then follow it up with a Meddling Mage, which could work. I'm not sure whether we would have kept that or not. So opponent plays a Tron piece, so they're obviously Tron. Yep. I decided to keep the freebooter on top for the reason that I explained, although I didn't commit to. Yeah, I suppose we get to see our opponent's hand, and then we can follow that up with Meddling Mage, which is not bad. Against Tron, though, Meddling Mage is kind of tricky. It's certainly not ideal. I'm going to play Thalia here, so we don't get turn 3 Karned. Because, yeah, our opponent hasn't played anything, so it's not surprising that they have a turn 3 Tron. So Wormcoil Engine comes down, which is very bad for us. I mean, to the point where I kind of thought about conceding this game, but we're going to run with it. So this is our opponent's hand. I guess we'll try and keep a copy of this here. So our opponent has Ugin, Oblivion Stone, Karn, and Expedition Map, which are all pretty bad. Ugin and Oblivion Stone, though, are probably the worst. Ugin just comes down and removes our side of the board, so that can't really be allowed to happen. But currently our opponent doesn't actually have the mana for it. Another Tron piece will get him there, but if he just has a Buried Rune, he can't cast this next turn. Karn is not good, obviously, but it's much more handleable in our deck because we've got so many permanents on the board. Like exiling one of our permanents isn't all that great. So I assume we could take Oblivion Stone here just because that's actually castable. Oh no, we end up taking the Ugin. Oh, we're going to take Ugin and then we're going to name Oblivion Stone with our Meddling Mage. That makes sense. So, I mean, we're still not in great shape because our opponent can just exile whichever card they want with Karn, in theory. So they exile the Kite Cell Freebooter, they get Ugin back, attack for 6. So we get to kill Karn here with our Meddling Mage, and then we draw another Meddling Mage. So we're going to be able to cast that, naming Ugin. And then we can make another Meddling Mage, naming Expedition Map. We're actually going to copy Wormcoil Engine there. which might have been the better play. Yeah, in hindsight, we probably should have just copied the worm coil engine there. I think I get a bit obsessed with trying to stop them from being able to play any spells. Opponent attacks us, which is kind of questionable in the circumstances. Although we don't know what they're following that up with. So Buried Rune gets back an Oblivion Stone. No, what did he get back? Oh, it must have got Chromatic Star. That's right. Yeah, Chromatic Star. Which then cracks. Draw another card. So we're going to play Bugler here, see where we get to. One's on 32 life. We do draw into Thalia's Lieutenant though, which means we can get a big boost and get a big swing in here. So we're actually going to attack for 12, which brings our opponent back down to 20 life, which isn't great, for sure. Another Khan comes down, opponent attacks, just going to chump here because we have to. Opponent exiles the Meddling Mage, which was naming Ugin. And yeah, our opponent still got Ugin in hand, so it's a problem. We replay a new Meddling Mage, naming Ugin. We can kill off Khan, attack our opponent down to 20. Once again, Chromatic Sphere comes down. I think our opponent tried to cast Ugin there, by the looks of things. So we're jumping with Armed Hierarch, drawing card off of Horizon Canopy. Got Reflector Mage, which is very good in this spot, getting rid of the Worm Coil engine. Attack our opponent down to 11 here. And opponent has Ulamog, which is good. So targets the Phantasmal Image, which makes it die, kills off the Meddling Mage that his target is naming Oblivion Stone. So our opponent can actually Oblivion Stone next turn. So we need to kill them right now. Unfortunately, we draw Mantis Rider, which gives us exactly 11 points of damage post our opponent's block. So we just narrowly win here, and that is pretty good after a very swingy and fairly exciting game. I think I'm not sure we should have won this game, really. I think our opponent was probably a bit too aggressive with their Worm Coil engine, and maybe should have tried to protect their Khan a little bit better. I think there's probably a lot of different deciding points, but yeah, it certainly felt really good to win this game. Particularly when I just thought about conceding after seeing the Worm Coil engine. But yeah, we managed to find a way somehow of winning this match. I mean, this game, and pulling it in our favour, which is nice because, as I say, this matchup isn't great for us. For the reasons you've seen, Oblivion Stone is really bad for us. Khan is Khan's not so bad, but it's not great. Ugin is really bad for us because it can just wipe our board immediately. Ulamog, obviously not great. So yeah, if they've got a fast hand, then we are going to struggle, particularly if they have any of those cards. So Meddling Mage is kind of tricky here. I mean, we fortunately got it in like multiples and multiples, but yeah, there's so many cards that are good for them that it's kind of tricky to know exactly what's good to name, to the point that maybe it's worth siding out, but it can be good if you hit the right cards, and certainly when you get to see your opponent's hand, like we did with the Freebooter, and you get to make a more informed choice. So let's go to sideboard and discuss our options there. Okay, so in terms of sideboarding against Tron, Damping Sphere is obviously a card that's pretty much entirely here for that. I mean, it does have some use against other decks, but it's primarily here against Tron. If you've running into a lot of Tron, I would certainly recommend playing more of these, because the matchup is pretty miserable. Knight of Autumn is good as a way of destroying artifacts, and then otherwise it's a pretty good threat. And then I suppose, yeah, I mean, those are the main cards you want to bring in: Knight of Autumn and Damping Spheres. I think Deputy is also fairly good here. Certainly better than Reflector Mage, which is the main card that we are looking to bring out. I mean, it is good against Wormcoil Engine, but that's kind of the limit. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the problem with Tron. Wormcoil Engine is another card that's really bad for us, that we have to kind of be aware of and be prepared for. But obviously it doesn't die to Dismember, and it's not very easy to get rid of in general. So I think bring in the Deputies for Wormcoil Engine and then take out the Reflector Mages, because they are rarely terribly useful. You certainly don't want to be running 4. And then, yeah, I think bring in the Deputy of Detention, bring in the Knight of Autumns, bring in the Damping Spheres. Things you want to cut, I suppose Buglers, Mantis Riders. You might want to cut Meddling Mage, just because it's difficult to make it overly effective, but I still quite like it. But yeah, it's I think those cards, I mean, you're bringing in a bunch of 3-drops, so you want to be cutting some number of 3-drops. All the Reflector Mages go anyway, so I suppose you really only need to cut 3 cards out of that after that. So maybe a couple of Buglers and the Mantis Rider, or the other way around. I mean, I don't really like getting rid of Mantis Rider just because it is a fast threat, and being fast is what we need. But maybe it's right in this situation, because we do want to be focusing on disrupting them if we can. So yeah, I think those are the cards we're looking at bringing out, and in terms of what we're bringing in, certainly Knight of Autumn's, Damping Spheres, and probably Deputy of Detention too. Okay, so here we have game 2. This is our opening hand. It's not great. This is probably a mulligan. Yeah, so this isn't a whole lot better, but I guess we... yeah, I guess it's playable. Files on top, I think we just probably bottom that, because it's not going to do us a whole lot of good. I mean, I suppose it gave us as a turn 1 play, but I think I'd rather just get another threat. So here's Champion of the Parish. Off our draw, we're going to play Thalia. I'm going to live with a Forest, so obviously they've not got an insane Tron hand, which is good to know. Chromatic Sphere comes down. I'm going to play Champion into a Meddling Mage. Going to name Sylvan Scrying here. I mean, you never really know, blindly naming cards, whether that's going to be effective. But I mean, our main concern, I think, at the moment is our opponent putting together Tron. So I think we want to target the cards that allow them to do that. I mean, obviously, if they naturally draw it, Urza's Tower anyway, or can hit it off these 2 cantrips, then we'll be in trouble. But I think that's inevitable anyway. So I think if there's anything we can do to try and stop them putting Tron together, I think that's worth trying. We've already seen an Ancient Stirring, so I think naming Scrying seems like the better way to do it. But I mean, alternatively, we could have named Oblivion Stone or Wormcoil Engine or something else, one of the other things that are a big threat to us. But I think in this current position, I like trying to prevent them putting Tron together, if we can. So attack for 2 with Thalia, run down to 18, then corrects Relic, corrects Chromatic Sphere, finds an Expedition map, which is one of their other options for putting Tron together. It is much slower though, particularly with Thalia out, so I think we're happy with that. So here we can Thalia use Lieutenant, and we've drawn into a Phantasmal Image, which is very nice, so we can actually get to double Thalia's Lieutenant here, which makes this attack pretty insane. So we're going to be able to hit our opponent for 14. We still could die here, unfortunately, but it looks like we're going to be okay. Opponent had to crack their map on their own turn, which thanks to Thalia, so that worked out pretty nicely. And yeah, fortunately for us, 5 mana is not enough to do anything too meaningful for our opponent. And yeah, that manages to wrap up a very rapid game too. So yeah, this is kind of how you want your Tron matchups to go. It often doesn't go this way, and this matchup, as I say, generally pretty bad. There's just so many cards that are not good for you. Oblivion Stone, Ugin, and Wormcoil Engine probably being the main ones of note. But and also Thragtusk sometimes comes in from the sideboard, which can be pretty difficult to beat as well, just because of the life gain. It just buys them a lot of time, and obviously then they can just go over the top of what you're doing fairly well. So I would say Tron is generally a very bad matchup. As I say, you probably just want to bring in additional damping spheres if you think you're going to run into a lot of Tron. But it does sometimes run the right way for us. Thalia is a good card at slowing them down if you can get that early. Meddling Mage can be useful, but I think otherwise you're just wanting to be as aggressive as possible and get down a speedy board state, while hopefully also disrupting them somewhat.